the thing about Jeter night tonight, and obviously the number's already been retired, so this is just a celebration of Derek's enshrinement into Cooperstown. And, it's funny because depending upon how old you are as a Yankee fan, and this is why not that I'm even really trying to get into this now, but just as a point of reference, this is why it bothers me when, not all of you, take it easy, but the younger Yankee fans, like this sense of entitlement and the 27 rings and, flexing, you didn't really suffer a whole lot like somebody like I did. Really. If you were born in the 70s, you didn't watch the Yankees win the 77 and 78 World Series. You just didn't. You didn't. And they didn't win it in 81, which is probably the first. Well, I do remember the 80 World Series as well. A little, like a snapshot. So somebody like me, you try to fend off these knuckleheads who act like, the Yankees win every single year. But I went through this long run, as many of you did, with nothing, which is why, aside from his greatness, which I think that's part of the reverence, like a big piece of the reverence for Mattingly. Not only was he amazing before he hurt his back, but he was the shining light in a fruitless period. No championships, So you grow up hearing all about the Yankees, and then you don't see anything that the Yankees supposedly did before we were born. And Jeter tonight, it's gonna be poignant. I want to make fun of the use of the word again. Remember when I used the word poignant and Boomer wasn't sure if I used it right? No, I used it right. Maybe Gio was making fun of it. I still used it right. And it's going to be poignant tonight. It's going to be one of those moments that really, not to sound, like an egotistical oaf, but only the Yankees really carve out. It's just different. 3,500 hits just about, the 5 championships, class act. And what's crazy about this, Lord willing, we all live a long, long time and have a lot of discussions about these teams. But, man, we could live another 50 years, right? And never see anything remotely like this again from not only a Yankee, but a New York athlete. I was thinking about this, like in my lifetime, like the sporting luminaries, right? And there's obviously a lot of randomness here, and you could start the Islanders with the 4 cups in a row and those great players, and I'm not trying to diminish hockey, but it's not mainstream, and those guys were great. The Potvins and the Bossies and the Clark Gillies and the Al Arbors, we know what they did. Billy Smith and the Pipes, I get it. Awesome. And really, one of the understated, brilliant moments in North American sporting lore, forget about here. Ewing didn't win a championship. Lundqvist, amazing, didn't win a championship. Doc and Darryl, they won the championship, but boy, that was just like a comet across the sky, and then it was snuffed out, gone, before we really got to enjoy it, for what we should have. It should have been 10 years with those guys, man. Eli. He's a superstar. I've been still getting tweets about that, by the way. Eli's a Hall of Famer. He's a 2-time champion. He's a Super Bowl hero. Sorry, I never once viewed Eli Manning as a superstar. I just didn't. Because he wasn't. Because the stats back that up, and he was great when it mattered. And yeah, the Giants misled him a few times. But, hey, come on, just watching around the NFL, Eli was never one of the 2, 3, 4, 5 best quarterbacks in the league. If you want to debate that, go debate somebody else. That's just my opinion. All due respect to the great Eli Manning. So the point is, Lawrence Taylor, obviously, LT's up on that. And there's a few others. If you're a big Carmelo fan, maybe you throw him out there, depending upon your age. Blah, blah, blah. But tonight's going to be amazing because there's a chance we don't ever see this again. And the way sports has been going in terms of this transient nature, not necessarily finishing a career, where you start, especially Durant, who still will not come on the show, by the way. It's just special stuff. It really is. You think about, you have these images from your childhood, like when Joe DiMaggio would come out in a suit, all decked out, or Mantle, and all these other Yankee luminaries and others. It's just, this is kind of once-in-a-lifetime stuff. So hopefully everybody enjoys it. Hopefully, the Yankees knock around the Rays a little bit. And how about that lineup the Yankees trotted out last night? IKF in the 4-hole. I mean, it was pretty ambitious to pop him into the 6th spot. I'm going to bat him 4th? And, the 2 runs that they got, the home run by Andujar, nice to see him. The Yankees have misused him. How did they give Andujar a hit on that? Now, I don't know if you saw it, Hoff. It was a rather innocuous play, but it was like a 4-hopper to shortstop charges, off 1 foot, throws it there and throw to first base. First baseman couldn't corral it, goes past him, IKF, quick turn, goes to second. So it's a hit and an error on the throw. I think if that's a good throw, I think he's out. I don't know how that was a hit.
That's called home cooking right there, home scoring.
Yeah, I hear you. But that's the deal with Jeets tonight. And Hoff asked me, why don't you ask me on air what you asked me before?
About the
whole Cashman thing. Go ahead.
Okay, so obviously Brian Cashman's on the hot seat, and if for some reason things go really...
Well, I've got him on the hot seat. Not everybody does. I do.
That's right.
If I own the Yankees. And just to be clear, I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think he should be.
Yes.
Just to be clear. Go ahead.
But if he was, and they did get rid of him,
mm-hmm.
who would you want to step in to be the next GM? Would you sign up for Derek Jeter being the next GM of the New York Yankees?
First of all, I don't think he's going to want to be involved in the day-to-day rigors and the requirements of that. It's one thing to have a piece of the ownership. I don't know that he would want to do it, first of all. And I guess I'd be somewhat amenable to it because the experience with the Marlins, seeing a different franchise, budget restraints more than anybody, incredible baseball IQ, incredible sense of winning, incredible sense of history. I think you could do a lot worse, but I don't know if it would be an amazing story, but I don't know if that's the answer myself.
I mean, listen, he left the Marlins because they weren't going the direction he wanted to go into, which is closer to what the Yankees do. I know it's not the egregious spending has stopped, the buying every single player has stopped, but the conscious effort of having a bigger budget is something that Jeter would want, and I think he could actually.
Maybe influence. That's an interesting point. I mean, if we get up to that 3rd and 4th tier just because Jeter comes, then bring him in tomorrow. I mean, let's just spend $1 gazillion because you know that he's not going to make, I mean, nobody's perfect, but you'd have to think instinctually being not that far removed from the game. But I don't know, is Derek really an analytical type, which maybe is a good thing that he's not fully immersed in the analytics, but there's got to be a decent blend of gut versus data. I don't know. I don't think they're going to get rid of Cashman. I'm on the record. I said this the other day. You guys know where I stand. I think Cashman should be hanging by a thread. No disrespect, but, I mean, how many times do you get a chance to reboot the Yankees without actually rebooting the Yankees at a championship level? I mean, come on. I mean, all the arms he's brought in here with Randy Johnson, the Javier Vasquez's, the Kevin Browns. I mean, the Sonny Grays, who was atrocious for the Yankees. Of course, he was pretty good last night, but atrocious for the Yankees. Myriad other names that I'm just neglecting. All the outfielders, the Dopey Ellsbury deal. I don't even need to reset all this. There's been, when you have this amount of money at your disposal, it shouldn't guarantee a championship. I think that's lazy, and that's an unfair expectation. But you should not be so outdated in how you construct a team when you've got the resources that Brian Cashman has had from day one. He just hasn't evolved.